Okay, here we go, take two. This is another video about Democracy 3 electioneering, and this time I'm going to talk about campaign speeches, yay, which is a new thing in electioneering. So this is, here's a game I prepared earlier, as we say, and in the 3 turns leading up to an election, you will get this new little event here, campaign speeches available, which takes you to here. You can also get there from here. So how have I done campaign speeches and why have I done it like that, you may ask. Thank you. Basically what I wanted to do is I wanted to cover the interesting decisions, the strategic decisions within a speech. So I don't care, whether or not you wear a jacket or a tie or what colour tie or whether or not you have a microphone and walk around and all those kind of silly sort of marketing-esque decisions that go into modern politics. I wanted to keep it true to the kind of spirit of Democracy 3 where it's all about policies and decisions, which I think is much more interesting than the kind of pettiness. So I thought when it comes down to it, a speech is basically who are you going to make like you and who are you going to sort of anger. Sometimes you can come up with statements that everybody loves, but they tend to be fairly vague. So what I've gone for is a system where you can see here these are all what we call sound bites, which are the memorable phrases, and you get to select up to 4 of them in a speech. And each one has effects on one or more political groups. So for example, say you had that classic, it was Reagan I think, I hope it is because I'm saying it on camera, read my lips, no new taxes. It wasn't Reagan, was it? It was Bush. Anyway, whoever. Say you're saying that, you're kind of saying we're not going to introduce any taxes or whatever. That some people are going to like that. Socialists aren't going to like that, so that's a pro-capitalist, anti-socialist statement, although that's more like a promise than a speech. So the interesting decisions here are kind of what groups do you want to favour and what groups do you not mind angering. Now the reason this is interesting and the reason this is worth going into the game and not just another thing but an interesting bit of design I think, is that this is the only real opportunity you have in the run-up to the election of making a voter group happy without doing anything, which is what speeches are about. The rational voter will vote on what you've done for them, but voters aren't rational. So if you give a speech, for example, here's one here, possibly an unpopular choice, if I'm pro the wealthy and anti the poor. So if I select this and I have a speech that sort of says, screw the poor are just leeching off those wonderful wealthy high achievers and wealth creators, although probably written better than that. If I say that, I can then completely ignore that and institute a luxury goods tax. This is a way of kind of making the wealthy think I'm on their side without actually being on their side. So you can kind of play both sides of the argument. You can sound like you're really pro-business but actually pass a lot of laws that trade unionists like, for example. And you can see here that it should be fairly obvious that the arrows up and down are who's happy and who's sad, and there are different extents. So there I can make capitalists really happy and socialists only a bit unhappy. Now that's probably quite a good choice depending on the split there. So it's about 50% each. So I am going to do that. I am going to do this just for the giggles of really trashing the poor in favour of the rich. And we have a few sound bites down here that we can just pick that are fairly mediocre but don't upset anyone. So we love ethnic minorities and we love commuters. I'm going to be pro-youth and anti-old people for No particular reason, just for fun. So we pick up to 4 of these. You might as well pick 4, unless there's real conflicts. It will cost you 12 political capital to give a speech. So here we go. So this shows one of those like opinion poll things. It is assumed that everyone is watching the speech. Everyone in the country is watching the speech, and they're taking into account all of the different inputs from all the different voter groups and deciding the kind of change in approval, whether that they are more likely to approve of you or less at each point in the speech. So you can see here this goes through the different sound bites. So these two are actually quite popular here. The third one, we definitely got a bit of a dip. There's a delay because you have to like get into your speech and then people realise what you're saying. So actually slagging off old people and saying, we love the youth of today was actually quite unpopular. Which is fair enough because there are actually more old people than young people in this country. So at the bottom there you get like a summary of what's happened. So obviously we've really upset the poor. If we go and look at the poor people, it sounds awful saying it like this, doesn't it? Yeah, we can tell that they're unhappy because of the speech. But what's interesting is they're happy because of everything else. So it kind of doesn't matter. So it was worth us kind of throwing a bone to the wealthy there to slag off the poor, because the wealthy will sort of think, yay, excellent. And actually when it comes to voting for us, people with a big influence from this voter group are going to think, actually, despite all the rhetoric, the government's been good for me. They've done good stuff. In fact, we're a bit complacent there because they've been too good. Bit of a problem with food prices there, but them's the breaks. So that's how the mechanic works. This is a new thing. It's one of many new things in the electioneering expansion. I've gone over some of them. I'll go over the others. So we've still got manifestos. Ooh, exciting, and perceptions, my favourite. So we'll go over those others next time. But that is speeches. You can only do them in the 3 turns leading up to an election. You can only do 1 per turn, no matter how much political capital you've got, which I think makes sense. And before people say a turn is 3 months, you can give a lot of speeches in 3 months, it's symbolic. Obviously we give dozens of speeches, and this is this is our general message in that period. So it's not meant to be literal, it's symbolic. Hopefully you think that's cool. If you do or don't, leave a comment, subscribe to YouTube, follow me on Twitter, Facebook, blah blah, social networking, etc. And this is coming out next month, and I hope you like it. Thank you for watching.